This conference will now be recorded.
Right, so this is about JIRA software wherein we are discussing about the importance of confluence because JIRA, as you know, JIRA is a project tracking bug tracking application we are using for project management, bug tracking, all that JIRA is being used where we can write epics user stories followed by this even we can mention whatever the sprint planning, everything can be done using JIRA. But especially in reference to the agile environment, apart from working on the application, documentation plays also an important role because whatever the documentation, usually we don't prepare any Word documents as separate, especially on Jira, especially an agile environment. Apart from Jira, there is another software called uh, Confluence, right? So Confluence is a document collaboration tool where we can collaborate document with the existing application, so that even whoever is working on the application development, whoever wants to see any kind of reports, what is that they need to prepare and all these people can be seen here. So here you can see on the left hand side there is a banner, you can see where roadmap, backlogs, active sprints, all these. Here you can see there is an option called project pages. Now what is that I'm going to show you how this Confluence can be connecting with Jira and how to prepare these documentations and how those documentations can be connecting with the user stories, what is that we have prepared, right? So how this is can be connected, it's what I'm showing you now. So here you can see there is an option called project pages wherein just click on it. So whenever we are clicking on the project pages, here you can see, right, this is how generally the project pages looks like. So whatever the project are we working on, whatever the user stories are we going to write, for these user stories, whatever the product requirements, meeting notes and all, everything can be implemented here accordingly. So for that, what is that I'm doing is, first of all, I'm creating a project. So I'll write some epics and user stories. Then I will connect this Confluence to that so that you will be knowing it well in advance. Now I'm going to the page of Jira as separate here. You can see this is what generally the page was. Wherein what is that I'm going to do? I'm just creating a project, right? So here you can go here. Here there is an option called create a project, wherein just I'm creating a project here. For to create a project, normally I am using Scrum because Scrum is a widely framework we used across industries. Use template. Now assume that team managed project is what we are using. The major difference you see here is team managed project where limited number of people are available with the limited number of team members working on a same project. But whereas when you go for company managed project, multiple teams will be involved in different activities. What is that they are performing? So that you require a JIRA administrator who has to do some configurations, authentications, authorizations. All these things has to be done here. So that I am selecting team manager project where limited people will be involved here. Now what is that I'm doing is I'm just creating a library management system. Okay, this is a sample application I'm taking. Okay, library management system is what I'm taking. So library management system uh, system 2. Okay, I'm just mentioning it as library. Instead of library management, let me take one more application called core banking, for example, right? Now there was core banking application as well as I'm going to take a healthcare application. Like let me see, there were some applications here with me. Let me see some application in it and we will identify among that. So I'm just case study. In this case study, I'm taking one application, something related and relevant to what is that I'm working on, all that. mm, I'm taking some application, uh, something relating to uh, let me take an example of hospital management system, hotel management, ATM system, POS, e-commerce applications was there. Next, for example, IPO system, right? So for example, IPO, right? So IPO process, M&A process. For example, M&A. M&A stands for mergers and acquisitions, right? M&A stands for mergers and acquisitions. M&A process. This is what I am taking. Means, for example, any mergers and acquisitions taken place. and all everything. This merge and M&A is being used for. Right now, I'm creating a project for M&A, which is called mergers and acquisitions. This is all comes under investment banking usually. Right, so mergers and acquisitions is what I'm taking. Right, so process I'm taking here. I'm creating a project. So now whenever we have created a mergers and acquisitions process and all, here what we have to do, first of all, we have to create some roadmap. So I'll create a roadmap first, then I can show you some confluence pages and all, and how this can be connecting with the user stories. Now let me search out some features relating to mergers and acquisitions. Okay, mergers and acquisitions application. Okay, for example, right, mergers and acquisitions application is what I am taking. Uh, right, so for example, this I am taking. In this, I'll identify some mergers and acquisition related steps. Okay, understanding mergers and acquisitions types. Right, so consolidation. So for example, acquisition is what the epic. Now what I'm doing is, first of all, I'm creating epic here. Okay, I'm creating an epic. Epic for what? Mergers and acquisitions. Merger and acquisitions, there is one epic. Epic nothing but large scale of solution. I'm creating it. uh, Need an evaluation of a company. Need an evaluation of a company before acquiring. Before acquiring, right? So this is what I was written. Right, so this is one epic which was created. Right, so evaluation is of the company. What is that we need to see? Next, need and financial comparison. Okay, financial comparison. Yeah, need a financial comparison of a company when acquisition takes place. Okay, right, so acquisition takes place. This is one thing. Now one more epic I'm creating for mergers. Right, so need to compare the lines of business, the lines of business which both organizations have. Okay, now these are the three epics I have created. So what is that we need to do? First of all, we have to write the user stories, then I'll connect to the confluence so that you will be seeing this. Now here you need to write a user story. User story is nothing but a functionality. Short description of the functionality is what we call it as a user story. So this is how I'm writing. As a system user, I want you to create an option to evaluate so that we can process the acquisition. We can process the acquisition stages. Okay, this is what I have written. Now this is what the user story I have taken. Now listen carefully. So whenever we are creating, what we can do here, you can see there is an option called link pages. If you click here, there is an option you can see called link confluence page. For example, if you are a developer, now there is a user story which was written by a business analyst or a product owner which was given to you. What is that you have to do now? For example, you want some reference information relating to this acquisition part is what is required, for example, right? So you need some reference documents so that you will be understood this much better. So for that, what is that you need to do? You have to connect this JIRA board as well as the user story, what is that was written here, this you need to connect with the confluence. So for example, I'm just clicking on link confluence. Did you see anything here? Right? So, do you see anything here? No. Why? Because we haven't created any pages relating to confluence here as separate, right? We have not created anything of that sort. Now what we have to do is that here you have an option here, you can see there is called project pages, right? So for this particular project called mergers and acquisitions, here there is an option, you can see project pages option will be available here. Click on project pages. Now you need to create a space for confluence for this particular project. Do remember whatever you have seen earlier is something for the old project. Whatever the old project, there is a confluence which was connected, hence you see few things. But for this mergers and acquisitions, there is a connect which is required a confluence. Hence it is asking me to connect to confluence space or a page. I'm just clicking on select confluence. We need to select which application and which project is want to work with, right? So here you don't see, hence I want to create a new page here, right? So create a new space, new space for amending. Okay, this is what I'm just amending. Mergers and acquisitions is what a space which was created by me, right? So mergers and acquisition space was created here. Now what we can do, you can create different pages. For example, there is a design definition which was identified where design definitions can be done. For example, if you want to write down the product requirements, right here you can see there are some product requirements here, page was there. So wherein you can write down the product requirements here, whatever the relevant information in reference to the application itself is concerned has to be mentioned. For example, of course, we have not given any target release date. Let me assume that I am just giving a target release date called 3rd May. Okay, for example, I am mentioning it as 3rd May 2023. Okay, right? So for example, Epic 2. Okay, let's say for example, Epic 3. Right? So this is what we have taken. Now this is 3rd May 2020. For example, the previous dates I'm giving. Okay, previous dates I'm giving here. Right? Epic 3 I'm giving. Document status. Here I can give better uh, second, right? So 2nd January 2021 is the target release date. Epic document status here. What are the document status and all everything? If you want to change any kind of cell background, all that we can change. That is not something mandatory. Okay. Mention document owner. Here you need to mention the document owner name. So I'm just mentioning my name called Raj, right? So designer. Designer is Mr. Madhu. Okay, he is the designer. Tech lead on C, right? Technical writer, Lakshmi, right? So this is it, right? Q&A, right? So QA means quality analysis people and all that. Next I'm writing a Samsung. Okay, so quality is that, right? So these are the information which was written here. Now here we need to write down the objectives of the organization, strategic goals, all that, right? So the main objective in developing this application is to understand and following the stages of M&A process, anything we follow, right? So this is what the objective I was written. Now here you need to write down the goals, right? What are the goals, metrics and everything has to be written. Next you need to write down the assumptions, all that stuff. At the same time you have to write down the milestones. If you want to edit any kind of milestones in reference to that, here you can see there is an option called milestones. Means if you want to add any kind of lines, add bars, or if you want to add any kind of markers for the roadmap planner and all, everything can be done, right? So make sure you need to whether if you want to put it on weeks or if you want to put it on dates, right? So all these things has to be taken care of. That's what you can see. 2021 is what we have selected. That is what it was showing you here as well, right? This is how generally this roadmap planner and all everything was written, right? So for example, right, so these are the requirements. Product requirements in reference to mergers acquisition has to write. The requirement will be written followed by the user story. Sometime back you have seen there is a user story I have written for mergers and acquisitions for one epic. The same way for the particular requirement has to be written. At the same time we have to write the user story followed by importance, all that. Now for example, this is product requirements page which was prepared. So whenever we have prepared this project page, whenever we have prepared all this, normally, right? So out of scope, for example, right? So out of scope, there is an uh, acquisition process is one thing which is mentioned here. At the same time, list of the features. One more is merger details. Right? So merger details, right? So these are the two details which was mentioned here. Next, user stories, followed by these. Next, assumptions and milestones, all that stuff. At the same time, we have mentioned all this information. Okay. Now, what is that we have did? We have written some project pages, all that, and whatever the project pages we have written all here, and whatever it was mentioned here. For example, if you want to write down some requirements like uh, create an application, right? So this is what the requirement we have written, right? Next, process of editing an application. Right? So there are two things which I have written here. Right? So these are the two things which was given here. Next, I'm mentioning it as product requirements at the rate M&A. Right? So I have written, for example, right? So publish. Okay, publish. I have published it. You can see here. You can see it on the. This page has been published already. You can see it in the open confluence. Whenever you have opened, this can be seen. Now what we can do, for example, if there is a, this is the document which you wants to connect. Here, go to that particular user story. You can see link confluence page. You see earlier it was not there. Now you can see, right? So you can see the space of M&A which was created. At the same time, here is the product requirements which can be linked here, right? The product requirements page can be linked. So what is that you need to understand? Whenever we are working on JIRA, there is no documentation as separate. So for documentation, what is that you do? There is an option called confluence where you can go to the confluence page where whatever the requirements are going to write. If you are going to write product requirements, you can write down the product requirements. Or else if, for example, there is a meeting which was conducted by the team, right? Regular Scrum meetings will be conducted by the Scrum Master. The meeting notes can be updated here. Or else, for example, if there is any kind of sprint retrospection was made so far, that sprint retrospection can also write. At the same time, there are more templates. Of course, there are a lot of templates are available for this. Even business related, functional related templates are available. Whatever the related templates and whatever the required templates we want to connect with, these templates can be used here accordingly. So this is how generally this confluence is being used. Do remember, this confluence as well as JIRA is not something only for IT people. Okay, because that's the reason why here you can see there are pages where you can connect with human resource, means even non-IT people relating to HR background can be used this. Marketing and business development, all these people can use these business strategies, all that. At the same time, software development people can use this. At the same time, HR people can use. At the same time, marketing and sales people can use it. And you can see some finance related even documents as well, right? Finance people or someone, some other else people and all. If there is any people and all, so those people can also use. So point to understand, as far as Agile itself is concerned, as well as JIRA and Confluence itself is concerned, there is an option that there is no only for software development. Even non-IT people can also use these templates and all everything for their activity purposes. For example, an interview feedback they wants to see, so there is no specific, assume that there is no specific template for interview feedback as separate. So what they can do, they simply go for this, use this interview feedback form, and they can work on this and they can update this accordingly. At the same time, if there are some incidents which has to be written by the software development team, here is an option for instant communication. Right, so change management, for example, ITSM change management documentation to be prepared with. So this can be used. So this is how generally JIRA in connect to the Confluence is what generally we will be using when we are working on Agile process. Right, so this is how generally document collaboration can be done using this Confluence to JIRA, so that whatever the required and relevant information we wants to prepare, all these things can be prepared. And this is not only for IT people, as I mentioned you beginning, even non-IT people can also use it. And one more example I'll be showing, especially for non-IT people. When I'm creating a project, I'll show you. Here you can see there is an option called create project, right? Here there is, if it is software development, this is. But as I mentioned you some time back, even non-IT people can also use. For example, salespeople wants to see what salespeople can do. Salespeople can prepare sales pipeline. Salespeople can prepare lead tracking, all that stuff. Even blank projects can be prepared by the salespeople. Even operations people can also use this to prepare a process controls, procurements, any RFP processes like request for proposal processes and all of operation people can use this, right? So this you have to create a process for RFP, right? You have to create a name for the project. For example, I'm just mentioning it as XYZ. Okay, I'm not creating a real project. I'm just mentioning you, right? XYZ is what I've created. Create a project. So here is a template for request for proposal which was created. For whom it is? This is an RFP creation which is used majorly for operations people. So point to be noted here is this projects, whatever the JIRA board in reference to Agile, whatever is using is not only for IT, even for non-IT also this is being used for. This is not exclusive only for IT development, because most of the people have some misconception over JIRA, confluence, whatever are we using, especially in reference to JIRA in Agile environment, majorly used in IT. To an extent possible it is right, but not to the full extent. Even non-IT people can also use this application for their benefit. So that's the reason this is an option here, right? So create a project where, for example, if you want to do some service management and all, these options can be chosen. If you want to do work management, project management, new employee onboarding can be done here. If you want to go for product management, there is a product discovery page where you can update this here. At the same time, if there is any kind of marketing, something like campaign management or event planning, content management or email campaigning, marketing people use this. Even HR people can use this, recruitment, policy management, performances, all that. At the same time, finance people use this for budget creations, all that. For example, if there is any budget to be created, right? So this template can be used for budget creation purpose here, right? Creation of budget, just now I have shown you the same way you can see. At the same time, even analytics, right? So if you want to do any kind of analytics can be prepared here as well. At the same time, facilities, even facility services, next operations, just now I have shown you to prepare process controls or procurements or RFPs, anything to be created, all this can be used for. So this is a JIRA board exclusively designed not only for IT people, but also even in non-IT people who are not belongs to IT and who wants to manage their business process and activities of their operations. Everything can be used comfortably here, Agile, right? In this Agile itself. So this is what the whole video all about, which is have created. So JIRA and how this in this JIRA, how we are going to write epics and user stories, and how this can be connecting with Confluence, because Confluence is for document collaboration. At the same time, not only a project creation for IT, I have shown you, even I have shown you even for non-IT people, either from people are belongs to from the sales or marketing, or maybe from HR, or maybe from operations, or maybe for finances and all. Different templates are available. Depends on the activities of the training, depends on the activities of the work they what they are doing. So whatever the report generations and whatever the process they wants to follow, using this JIRA can be used by them accordingly. Right, so this is what the complete video. If you want any kind of training in reference to the JIRA, not only for IT people, even for non-IT who are belongs to HR, finance, operations, as well as um, as well as business development and all that. If anybody requires, please reach out to me. Thank you. See you.